Okay, so as far as we have already discussed before the last time, today I will not discuss new material because we have finished the analysis and design one. So the next step will be today we will practice some exercises about what we have already discussed in the last maybe 3-4 lectures. And I want to discuss also the assignment 2 solution. Concerning assignment 2, based on many requirements or many requests that I have already received concerning extending the deadlines, I have already extended the deadline 1 week. However, yesterday and before yesterday, I started receiving emails concerning asking more additional extension. And I think that extension cannot be done anymore. Today, early morning, I start double checking the solution that you have already sent. It seems that I got reply about almost 80% of the solutions. And maybe other they expect that can have a further extension. I want to tell you something that this course, from the first day, I said no midterm. However, we will have assignments and the project. The project by the end of this week or starting next week, I will, because now you can start with a project based on what we have already discussed in this course. However, does it mean that there is no midterm? You don't have to be very serious with the assignment. So, who is not going to send an assignment after a 1 week extension, I believe that he's not taking this seriously. 1 week extension, I think after this, no reason not to send your solution. So you lost 10% of the course grade. So in this case, your grade will be out of 90 rather than be out of 100. So in this case, if you haven't submitted the assignment 2, then you almost now you have a grade above grade. The maximum grade you can get 90 in this case. So please, for the other assignment, take it more serious because 40% for the assignment, it's more than midterm grade portion for the assignment. So, and why I didn't select to have a midterm because I believe that this course needs more practice. So giving an assignment give you 1 week to do the assignment. This assignment 2 you have already 2 weeks. So mean that you have a plenty of time to practice what we have already discussed in this course. So so the last time we talked about state chart, it was the last thing that we are going to discuss. It was the last, let's say, diagram that we are going to discuss in this course concerning design phase. And we talked many things about how the initial final states and what is the guard condition. We talk about what is defined by actions, activities, and composite state, and the history state. This is all we have described the last lecture. Today I will start giving, because the last lecture it was we discussed this is all the stuff. Today I will start that having another example state diagram, and I will do it with you here, so you can understand more the concept. Again, we at from beginning we said that this course more focus about inception and elaboration. So by the end of the elaboration, we start implementation. We will have some, starting next week, we will start see how the different design aspects that we have already done, how we can connect or how can transfer the design to implementation. However, we have already finished this now. After we finish the state diagram, this was the last diagram, as I said, concerning. Okay. So steps that we have already talked about for constructing a state chart, we said identifying the object that have complex behavior, determine initial final state. This is what we have already discussed the last time also. Just I'm making a refresh before I go to the second example. and then work with the initial state, raise the impacts of different events and action. So we have action, event, and activity. So an event that normally what the user is going to do, based on this, there will be an action in the system. And normally, sometimes there will be an event plus a condition, which is a guard condition. And there will be an activity, which is something that be done always within the state itself. And normally we said that it will be incremental work, that we can expand the states, and then we can have composite state, which is more than one state with each other in this case. Today we will have an example about, suppose that we have a system to construct a state chart. I'm talking about state chart here. I'm talking about a state chart for a ticket vending machine. Most of us know about ticket vending machines. Suppose you are in any place talking about trying to buy a ticket, and this ticket you are going to use some coins to buy this ticket. So we are implementing a system for this machine, suppose in this case. So how we are going to draw or sketch the state diagram for this system. First, how information from the interaction diagram can be used to derive state chart. Interaction diagram, when we said about interaction diagram, we are talking about calibration diagram and sequence diagram. Don't forget this. Sequence diagram give us, in general, about different state, the class instance, what is the messages they will pass it internally and with these different entities. And the calibration diagram talk more about the different object instances, what be the association rule for this object within the system. So when you talk about interaction diagram, I'm talking about collaboration and sequence diagram. Having this two, I normally going to derive this. And we have also to agree what different state of the system we will have. However, I said we go on like we did before in the CD player example, that we go incrementally way, which means that start with another special state, and then we maybe identify different state while we are doing state chart diagram. Doesn't mean that when we have to start with this diagram that we have all the state with each other in our mind. This we are going to do it during we are sketching this stage of chart, but however, we should have one or two states to start with. So if I can see this, then first I have the machine. I'm going to go to buy a ticket or to select a ticket. And then there is different coins I have to insert them. If I do it like this, so there is a state, a ticket, state, a ticket, which means the transition, don't forget, this transition talk more about the actions taking place. When I said the action taking place, which means that action and event, it talk for both, which means that the event and what is the event is taking place and what is the action. Here, for example, there is a coin being inserted and maybe you're inserting different coins. However, based on this, a very early version of the state diagram, we can see that the ticket machine is able to carry out a repeated transaction, coin by coin by coin by coin. So in this case, this repeating transaction having this repeated one, then we can make a loop. So far we can have two states. Paying for a ticket, this is the system, not what is the state of the system. And we have an ideal one that before starting anything with a machine, the ideal state. There is no one, there is no person beside this machine. There is no person taking an action. We are an ideal one. So the first state we can say paying for a ticket. Again, paying for a ticket. Okay. So paying for a ticket, don't forget the main aim from the state diagram It's not just to say the state, to give us the whole life cycle of different objects being here, because the calibration diagram will tell us for special, the object diagram and also the calibration diagram. The object diagram will give first, object diagram will give us for a special object instance, what is the message going to send it to others. The calibration diagram will talk about more about the object as a whole, the general instance from this class, what different roles has to do it. But however, the full scenario of different interaction in a very upper level, to see the whole full scenario, this will be done in the state diagram in this case. So we have the ideal state so far, and we have the paying for ticket. This is a state. What was the state of what action be related to this state or events? And the transition here, it should talk about, based on our definition for transition, about action, event, and if there is a condition. So starting with the ideal one, you are going to make an action to select a ticket, which means with a special calls, and then starting buying this ticket. Starting buying this ticket, you are going to send a different coins. You are here within, this is the loop as we talked about it. So this transition, not enough. It is a guard condition. You remember, action, event, sorry, guard condition, action. So here you are, this transition, it is a self transition. Why it is a self? You are still in the buying for a ticket one. We didn't issue the ticket because we didn't enter the whole enough amount of coins. So this transition will be this what we did it here before. And we said that we have to do it in a loop way. And since we don't have a special number of coins, then we said not enough. This is a condition. We can say this 3 times, 4 times about this. So, and this is another transition that will be done with the buying of the ticket, and then we will go back to the ideal one. We can see here, there is an action, issue ticket and change. Why there is an action? Because we believe that having this enough amount of coins, now the ticket is issued and we went to the ideal one. Okay, again, now I have an initial version. Let's say this is version 2 in this case. Let's say this version 1, this version 2. As the same, I'm doing the same scenario that I did with the CD player system that we talked about it before. I'm now building the state diagram. Normally, when you are going to build a state diagram, you should have a calibration diagram with you and a sequence diagram. However, I'm not now, because it is a very simple example. I can see that we can know the different interaction that should be done in the system, because it's a very naive example. However, when we are talking about a software development for a real system, we should, or the prerequisite for the state diagram, that you should finish first the sequence diagram and the calibration diagram and the object diagram if you have already done this. So, however, since it is a very simple one, we know the sequence, so we are building this. Again, the interaction diagram should be done before the state diagram. It is a prerequisite for the state diagram. We should know this. Okay. Suppose that you have, based on the requirement list that you have, the user enter a coin before selecting a ticket, because based on this, the user has to go to select a ticket and then start the process of buying a ticket, and the system will be in this state, paying for a ticket. And then he has to insert different coin till we have the guard condition that we exceed the not enough, which means that then we'll go out of this transition. We have the enough coin, then we will go to another transition, that had an action, issue a ticket. However, suppose based on the requirement and based on the different interaction diagram that you have it, as a person can start sending pot coins before selecting a ticket. So now we are going to add this interaction to the system. So from the ideal one, this was what we have already done before. Then he has to select the ticket with a special ticket and has a special cost. And then it has to go to paying for the ticket. And then go inserting this as we done before. Okay, so the other interaction that we will have is that starting from the ideal one, sure, we can have a start for the system and add it here. Starting from the ideal state that we will have, then we are going to start putting special coins, inserting coins. And then based on a predefined cost that you will have, and then you will go to see the idea, the ticket cost, and then there is an issue based on this, which means that you put the coins before, as I said before, we will go to the ideal one. Okay, now we have more requirement. That based here, what we have already done, we have two interaction scenario. First, either he has to buy a ticket and put the enough amount of coin, or he know how much coin he want to put, and then he put all the enough coin because the enough amount, and then go put here issue. I think that here there is something missed here. I believe that there should be enough here also, which means that there should be enough based on the cost, enough coins being selecting if there is, or let's say maybe we can make a condition that number of the total of coins equals a cost in this case. Suppose that we have another interaction that the system, the user can put special number of coins, not the amount needed for buying a ticket, and then he selects the ticket, then he go to put the enough, the rest of the amount. So in this case, yeah, you see here, we have to put here, based on this, before we'll go to the issue, should be enough one. And then here, if it is not enough, then he has already started with the coins. He has to select the ticket. And then he has to insert more coin till we got enough. We will go here. Or we'll go here in this case, if it is enough. So if it is enough, sorry, this is, I said based on this, that here should be enough. Or the total cost of the coins equal the total amount of the coin equal the total cost of the ticket. However, here, since we agree that the user can enter special number of coins and special number of coins or special amount of coins, and does it mean that it has to enter the same amount needed for a ticket? In this case, this is cannot be performed. Event, condition, guard condition, and then it is an action. The issue action cannot be done because this is an enough, it is not being already inserted. So it knows the total cost here, so it will go here to ticket select again, and then he has to put a number of coins plus what he had already. If now it is enough, then we'll go to the ideal one, then it is the ticket is issued. So now here in this state diagram, so far we talk about 3 different interaction scenarios based on what we have already done in the sequence diagram and the collaboration diagram. So we have 3 different scenarios in the interaction scenario. Buy a ticket or select a ticket, put the coins, the same amount needed, put the same amount needed for a coins, and then go buy a ticket and issue. Or the third one, start putting the number of some coins, however it is less than the ticket needed, and in this case he has to select the ticket and then he has to put the rest of the amount. So in this case, this interaction diagram, this state diagram, give us the different, or give us an image about different action and events based on different interaction scenarios that we have, and then we have already now so far we have 3 different states for the system. either ticket selected. Before this, we name it ticket paying. However, now, because we differentiate between them, ticket selected, no ticket selected, or ideal, before any interaction was done before the system to this system in this case. Okay. Now, more scenarios you have, interaction scenario, you have to include it here in the system. Suppose that the ticket machine timed out after 30 seconds. So there is a timeout one. So we can have this time handling in this UML diagram in this case. So no ticket selected, then after 30 seconds there will be an ideal state. I'm sure that then the person will get his coin again with this. Now we talked before about activity. So either we have the activity within the state itself, the state have an activity. Again, there is an action that will be as an output for the event, and there is a condition with an event, and there can be an activity. We said an activity sometimes it will be within the state itself, will not go to the exit and the base what we have already discussed before, will not go to the entry and the exit actions. That's be done for if you want an enter and exit state for if you want for a state. Again, what we have already discussed the last lecture. Or we can create an activity state itself, a standing alone state. So that suppose that there is no ticket selected, and we have to see this if there's any change can be returned in this case. Both no ticket selected or there is ticket selected, we have to see the change because we didn't consider as change here in this case. No ticket is being here or being inserted. In this case, we will go to the state one, like here. The state one will cast no change, then return money amount, or there is somehow a change ticket and change it in the, and then, sorry, there is a ticket and change in this case. So before we'll go to this final result, we have a do check availability that we should be integrated here. This is so far the state diagram that I can see that we have built in an incremental way. Again, normally that you will have all the requirement and all the interaction diagram with you, so you know that there is a scenario that he has to go insert coin without selecting a ticket, select ticket, then insert coin. He can insert some amount of coin, then he has to go to select ticket. And there is all the stuff you normally have to do it in this exercise that I give it today. Just I go step by step to see how we can do this. Sure, there is more event can be defined, like here, should give the money back, for example. If we're talking about one, cancel the event, which means that this user cancels the whole event, the whole amount should be done. You can also more integrate this. Again, this all should be done based on the different interaction diagrams that we have it. This is why I said that you build the state diagram based on different interaction diagrams you will have it, because all interactions and all the interaction between the exterior users and the system, you should have already formalized it using different sequence diagram. Samranjit and Genevieve, do you have any questions so far about state diagram? If you don't have any question, give me one thumbs up. Genevieve, are you still here?
No questions.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we will start with, I will give you 4 to 5 questions about what it is, more conceptual question to see that you really understand the concept, and maybe for others that's going to see this video again. And then I will go to the assignment 2 to discuss. I picked one of the solutions of the students, and I will discuss it with you based on the solution that I have it. So let's start with the questions. It's more conceptual question about what we have already discussed in this course. It's 4 or 5 questions, not so much. The first question say, when you have the final list of use cases, you have to ask yourself some question to see if you really new case, because the input for the use case, as we have done in the assignment one, the input for the use case will be that the business requirement that you have already collected from the business owner or the user or the expected user of the system. When we talk about this business modeling. And then based on this requirement, then we have to create a use cases, and then you will have a use case diagram. So this now, based on the use cases will have the name of the use cases, the actor, and the scenario, if you remember. So after you finish this, you have to ask yourself some questions. Have I covered all the use cases or the requirement that I have already collected? Yes, no. So this some question will help you on this. The first question, it says that if each functional requirement is at least one use case. Genevieve or Samjit, do you believe that this question should be asked by the end of, after you finish the use case? Do you believe in this?
The first question?
Yeah. Do you get the question? The question here said that there is some questions you have to ask yourself after you finish the use cases. The question now said, which one of maybe the correct solution will be more than one question. There is a list of the questions. We have to pick up some questions that we believe that we should ask ourselves these questions when we finish the use case to be sure that these use cases cover the whole requirements. You got the point?
Yes. So the first, like, is each functional requirement in at least one use case, like this?
So you believe that this one which is correct?
Yes, it should be, because at the end of the day, we are considering the actor.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you remember that in that we will have functional, non-functional requirement. This when we talk about requirement, you remember this, yeah?
Yes.
So is each functional requirement at least one use case? So yeah, So we should ask ourselves this question, that minimum there will be one use case per functional requirement. We don't have to miss any functional requirement. Any functional requirement can have a one use case or more, but at least there should be one use case for this functional requirement. I agree with you. Okay. What about the second one? Have you considered how each stakeholder will be using the system? Do we have to ask ourselves this question? What do you believe?
Yes, because the stakeholder has to have the ease to access the system, and yes, I think we should ask.
So we have to see that all the stakeholders we have already mentioned in the use cases. We didn't miss any one of them in this case. So we have to consider each stakeholder, and this stakeholder, what different functionality he has to do it, or based on this functional requirement modeling based on the use cases that we have already. We are not talking about use case diagram. We are talking about use cases, which is use case name, scenario, different scenario, plus the actors or the stakeholder. Continue with me. Have you missed any technical term that describes the system? Do we have to ask this question? It is mandatory to ask ourselves this question.
Yes, because if we miss anything, then
no, wait. Any technical terms?
I don't think so.
I agree. I don't think so also. When we talk about technical terms, we are more oriented to go to from programming point of view, not from the business modeling perspective. In the use case, we don't go to technical terminology, which means that making different methods and make different attributes and all this stuff. Because here in the use case, talk about the business modeling, about this business, how it works. So we don't go to the technical software technical terms in this level. We are not concerned with a technical term here. We are just now, we are making a description for the different business scenario that we will have with a stakeholder. Do you agree?
Yes, now I do.
Okay, let's go to the other one. It's very important we can understand this, because to know about the conceptual, our own understanding for different concepts in this course so far. This is the aim from this question. What information will each stakeholder be providing for and receiving from the system? Do you believe that we have to ask this question after we finish the use case?
I think this is one of the most important questions we should be asking, because
Perfect. I agree.
Because who receives what kind of information, and at the end of the day, it's the database which shall be at risk.
Yes, we talk about more technically now, but we should, at the use case, we should provide for each stakeholder, because the use case and the domain model, both of them, talk about the external user, how they interact with the system. If you remember, when we go to the sequence diagram, and then we go to the class diagram, and then we go to the calibration diagram, we start, especially when we talk about sequence and calibration diagram, we start talking about internally in the system what's taking place. However, here in the use case and the domain model, especially as the use cases, we talk more about each stakeholder, what different interaction with this system from external one. We don't go with internal in the system. So at this level, it's a very important question to tell us that have we include each information that stakeholder will provide for and receive from the system, because we are talking about the external entity still. We didn't go internal in the system. So yes. Okay, have you considered the maintenance issues? Do we have to ask ourselves this question?
I don't think so.
I agree. Have you broken the problem down farther and farther into pieces that the system will handle? Do we have to ask ourselves this question?
No.
I also know, because this is breaking out down the systems and going to different parts, which is again to reach the design class diagram and the object diagram and all this stuff. Talk about the static modeling, not the interaction with dynamic modeling. This will be later stages, so not here. So yes, as we have already. So the first one, the second one, and the fourth question. This is one of the most important questions that we have to ask ourselves after we finish the use case in this case. Let's go to question 2 in this case. It's easy question. You can stay with me and you can help me in this. Which one of the following highlights the roles each object play in an interaction model? Which one? Because
Collaboration diagram.
Perfect. First, the domain model and design class diagram, they are not interaction mode diagrams, so they're out. So we have two diagrams here, the sequence diagram and the collaboration diagram. As you said, that the collaboration diagram, because the main difference between sequence diagram and, do you know what is the main difference between sequence diagram and collaboration diagram? What is the main difference? Both they are interaction. What is the main difference between of them?
Sequence is basically, I think, based on class, and collaboration is mainly based on object. Yeah,
perfect. What about more about calibration when talk about more object? It gives us also this object, the role of this object in each interaction. You remember the association role that we talked about in calibration one?
Yeah.
So this is a point. So because the calibration diagram talk about the different role or the associated role or the association role that we for each object within this interaction that's taking place internally in the system. Okay, so question 3. So, which you want to look the behavior of a single object across many use cases? Which one of the following OOD, or which means object-oriented analysis and design, aircraft is the most useful when we talk about behavior of single object? calibration, state diagram, class diagram, sequence diagram.
Collaboration diagram?
Again, collaboration diagram?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think so.
I agree. Somehow calibration diagram is this case. Okay.
So it's state diagram.
Why? Do you know why? This is not a calibration diagram, it's a state diagram. Why?
Because
you see about among many use cases. When we talk about, we said that we have a sequence diagram, we have a calibration diagram, and you told me now what is the main difference. Sequence diagram talk about the class level, and calibration diagram talk about more at the object level. And the calibration diagram that talk more about the object level also has to talk about more about a calibration diagram, different roles of this. However, the calibration diagram doesn't consider the whole sequence of the whole system. Do you agree?
Yeah.
It's not like the calibration the state diagram tell us the different action and event that will take place using the whole scenario of the system. So we can see it more state diagram in this case.
Okay.
You agree now?
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is the last question. In a state diagram, which is the following is true? Action are associated with transition and are considered to be processes that occur quickly and are not interruptible. Do you agree in this?
Yes.
True or false? So in a state diagram, actions are associated with transition. Yes, because we said when we are going to label a transition, we label it like this. We have an event, and then we can have a guard condition, and then we will have an action. So yes, it is related to our transition. Action are associated with transition and are considered to be processes that occur quickly and are interruptible.
I think it should be A.
So A true, and this is false. Because as we said, they are non-interruptible. It's not like event. So because an action would be related to an event, whenever there is an event, there is an action will be done. Okay, so what about C? True or false? Activities. We said that we have an action, we have an event, and we have an activities. Activities, it's something that will be done within the same state. Can take a longer, an activity may be interrupted by some event. So true or false?
False.
Why false?
Because I don't think they are interrupted by some event.
Also, they are associated with classes.
With the states, not the classes.
Okay.
They are associated with states because in state diagram we talk about states, we don't talk about classes. I agree that they are associated with state and take longer because an event, and if you remember we talked about an activity, we said it is something done, it is many steps that can be done within the state without going to the exit and the final event or action. However, they can be interrupted. We said this.
But
so they can be interrupted because if there is an event, suppose that you have a state. You have a state. We're talking about CD player. You have a state, and within the state there is an activity. Activity has 4 or 5 steps, like CD player. Activity talk about selecting the first track, whatever it is. And then the user, while you are doing this activity, different line for the user come and make a stop. Pressing the stop, it is an event, yeah? Because we said event, something done by the user, yeah? So whenever this user will press the event, in this case, what will happen?
It will be interrupted.
So it is interruptible one.
Okay.
Not like the action, because whenever there is an event, there is an action, because the action is related to event. So if there is an event, there is an action. There is no event, no action. So it cannot be interrupted because it will be directly within the same event that has already happened. So, however, event action, whenever they have an event, cannot be done another event while executing the same event. You are pressing stop. You can't press two buttons at the same time. You have to press one of them. So in this case, we said, yeah, we agree that yes, we have it here as I can see. No, it is interrupted. It can be interrupted by an event.
I have a
Activity. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for the A part, so it's written that actions are associated with transition and are considered to be processes that occur quickly and are not interruptible.
Perfect, yeah.
Like, so why there is not interruptible over there?
Okay, yeah, because actions are related to what?
Transition.
To an event. No, they are related to a transition, but transition also related to event.
Yeah.
Yeah, return back to transition. This is a transition. So we will have an event, and we will have a condition. We name it guard condition, and then we will make a slash like this, and there is an action. You remember this?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if there is an event, like pressing, for example, the play button, this is an event. And normally the user will press a play button, and the action will happen directly after this. However, you can't press two buttons at the same time, or normally it doesn't mean so. Whenever now if you press two keyboards, one of them will be the first.
Yeah.
So in this case, the action will be directly done because it's related to the event itself. Another action will be done when according to the second event in this case. So an action itself, it is related to an event. An event is related to something that the user will do, and the user can do one thing at a time.
Okay, so if for the third point, if some activity is going on and if I consider
the activity, they are not related to event. You know what is an activity? Activity is something will be done related to the state itself.
Yeah.
Like for example, maybe choosing the first track. The person will press on playing button start the state playing, and then maybe then there is an event will be done activity that's choosing the first track. So before the activity, maybe there's something will be done before this activity. There's something related to the action of the event. Whenever, and this activity may be not only one step, maybe different steps. So while this activity is being running, before it's being finished, an event done. So this event will have an action. The action event will be executed, and the activity will be interrupted in this case because there is an action related to the event is going to be done now.
Okay.
Do you agree?
So it's like for an event, when we initiate an event, so there is set of activities that occur.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
When we initiate any event, so there is an activity, like it's a set of
No.
steps.
Activity related to a state. When you enter a state, there can be an activity related to the state. When you enter the state.
Okay.
When you enter the state.
Oh.
But an action is related to event. So there is an event, there is an action. The action maybe it executed a state or it changed the state from one to another one. If the CD player is not playing, then now because based on this action, then now the CD player is playing. So you are within the state, and when you will be in the state, there will be an activity that's being to be executed. Maybe yes, maybe there is no activity, but sometimes there is an activity should be done. So the activity will be related to the state itself, not to the action that is related to an event in this case.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. What about the last one? Activity are associated with transitions that occur quickly and non-interruptible. So it is somehow almost the same like the first one. They are not interruptible, so we said no, it is false. So the first one is true because this is contradictory to this. So this is true, so it should be false in this case. Okay, the last one. Oh, this should be 5, not 4. Let me correct this. 5 in this case, yeah. Okay. This is the last question. Object and the classes can be found using which of the following technique? So when we have to choose how many classes, and normally when we set the classes and there we have objects, so let's say when we define how many classes we will have, how we can know? From the nouns in the text description, because you have the requirement, and look for the unit of interaction. When you have a sequence diagram, you have a unit of interaction. Look for places where things or objects come to rest. All of the above. What do you believe? When you are going to define the domain class diagram, and then you are going to define the class diagrams. So you will have different classes. These classes, normally, from where you come from these classes? From unit of interaction, from places where things or objects come to rest, from noun, text description, all of the above. What do you think? Do you want me to help you?
Look for places where things or objects come to rest.
From JIT, yeah. I think that looks for places and things. This is normally we did it in the A and C. We did it when we make the domain model, which means when we make the domain model, we'll go and see what different domains we will have it and pick them and put in the domain model. And also, when we are going to refine, if you remember, refine the domain model and go from the domain model to the class diagram using the sequence diagram and other interaction diagram to have this class diagram. And then sometimes we will have different entity in the class in the sequence diagram. And this entity or unit, we should create a class for it. Like, for example, product. An interface for a product interface, interaction interface in this case. So I believe that 3 of them can be a source to define different classes. The A and C, we can see them from the domain model and the use cases, because in the use cases, we can see that there are different nouns or different concepts. And then in the domain model, we use these concepts to have the domain model. And in the interaction diagram, like the sequence diagram, sometimes there are some interaction unit. We need to create a class for this. So I believe it will be D in this case, all of the above. Do you agree, Samranjit, now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. This is a whole for today as a questions. However, I want to talk more about the. Have you submit your assignment, Samranjit?
No, actually, I arrived
Why?
Canada just yesterday.
Sorry, what do you say?
Actually, I just arrived here in Canada yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, I got late.
So have you submitted assignment 1?
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I can't make any more extension because I said I have already 1 week for this. I hope that you can also do it again and again. People that will be in the class day and who that got that Prabjot come. People who will be in the live session and solve those ask exercises will get some bonus. I think this bonus will help you, Samranjit.
Can we submit it now if it's possible to get some marks?
The point that Samranjit that now Prabjot, because Prabjot, based on what I have already submitted, his solution, one of the nice solutions that I like it, and he's going to present it this. Okay. Because we need, so now we will submit the solution. So if you have the solution, no extension can be done. However, I said for you, who can, because this is the live session, they are optional, and this is an online asynchronous course. There is no grade for attendance, and there is no grade for any activity done. However, I will give some, I said this before, people who will be work with us in the worker group exercises that we done always in the live sessions, they will take some bonus. So
Okay.
this bonus will help you on your assignment grade in this case. You got my point?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Prabjot, are you here? You come in the correct time.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. I want to thank you that you joined us today.
No worries. I usually join the class.
Yeah, I know. So this is why I saw different solution today early morning, because yesterday was the deadline. And I said that no more extension can be done because I have already extended 1 week before. Your solution, I like it. There are some points I will discuss it with you now, because there are some points, especially in the sequence diagram, should be enhanced. However, I like your solution. It was very nice, well organized. Maybe you missed in the sequence diagram. Just now I tell you the return one should be done using .1, not like that what you have already done. So can you please share with us now your solution to discuss it with you?
Yeah, sure. I will share. But before that, I just want to confirm, like, is this me? Because I guess there are like 2 people with the same name in the class. But
Yeah, Prabjot. Yeah, I will. Oh, wait. I will see. I will give you the solution for this.
okay.
And you tell me if this is you or not. Prabjot core. Prabjot, this one is your, yeah?
Yeah, that's mine.
Yeah. You don't have a self-confidence that you make a good work?
No, I'm just confirming. As you said, it's his. So.
Yeah, I know, because I have to go to the family name and double check. And your email address is somehow strange, because your email address doesn't include your family name, something like this. So I have to
Yeah.
double check. You go to the ID and double check and make a matching. Don't worry about it, because I know that you have two Prabjot here in the class. And also the other Prabjot has a nice solution. But your class diagram is better comparing to her. By the way, Prabjot, it is a female name, so it should be always. I said her, according to her. Yeah, Prabjot. It is only a girl name. Yeah.
It can be both. It's
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he can now later he can see this video. So he or she is a Prabjot one. So he or she has a nice solution. However, I believe that your class diagram is better comparing to, because you include the inheritance and you do it in a better way. So this is why. So go ahead and share your solution. Let us discuss it.
Okay.
So I will stop sharing. I will let you share yours.
Just give me a second. I'll have to change my settings in order to share.
Go ahead. If you want, I can share. Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
We can see your screen now.
All right. So I would just start with
Can you zoom it more? It's better to zoom it more in this case.
Is it all right now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So I will start like how I basically
how you think about it. Give us an introduction, why you do this, why you choose this, why you give this notation,
Mhm.
and why you make this method, and maybe you need to return back to the assignment text. It's up to you. I'll give you the stage. Go ahead and make your own presentation. I will give you bonus for this presentation, by the way.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I will present first the sequence diagrams and then the class diagram. So the sequence diagrams I chose based on the use cases I had in the previous diagram. So some of the use cases I combined into one sequence diagram because they were quite related. So
Okay.
the first one is, for instance, view product catalog.
Okay, can you accept that I interrupt you in some places just to clarify more the concept to the other?
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so what you said, I agree 100%. You are 100% correct. You said that based on the use cases, we sometimes have to have a sequence diagram that from 2 or 3 use cases that we have already done before. Why? Because there are some overlap between the methods of them. Perfect. Go ahead.
Okay, so the first one is like view the product, or like as any user can browse through the website to view all the products in a product catalog. So the user can be admin, customer, seller. So I've given the name as a user, and then the product catalog. It's the basically the interface. So user opens that page, and that the product catalog itself, it fetches the it calls the method like get all the products from the database, and then the database returns all the products. And
Perfect. No, there is a point here because you missed this. You know then when it is a return message, it should be dotted.
Okay.
So the return all product should be in a dotted line. This is one of the points you need to enhance. So when you will have a message being sent at a request, either from the internal part or from the external part, like open homepage or get all product, I like it so much that what you have a very nice description. I like it. However, when there is a return message will be done, and especially internal one in the system, should be in dotted line. So return on product should be dotted in this case.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so return all products, will it not like extend to the user because we are sending to the user?
No, because maybe PUBG, go ahead.
So I guess the user gets it from the interface itself.
Yeah.
So database sends it to them.
You see some Rajit, go ahead, Prabjot. This nice lady, she has done a very nice, good notation. Go ahead, for example, she makes this notation like this one. This notation means this is an interface. It is an interface entity. So whenever it is interface entity, is be used to display the output in this case.
Okay.
This is why when we talk about the sequence diagram, we said that there are different notation for the entities that we have to consider it when we are going to make the use case diagram. It is mentioned in the lecture one. Before I start with the sequence diagram, there is a slide, as I remember, talk about different notations. Go ahead, Prabjot.
Okay, and then the display is updated from based on the database result, and the same sequence kind of goes for the search of the product. They search the product name, and then the query is made to the database, and then all the results are that they get back. The display is updated based on that. So this is for the view and the search product catalog case sequence.
I agree. The only one concern, as I said, that should be the return one should be dotted one.
Okay. And then comes the view, the reviews and rating. For instance, user can click on any particular product review, and then the ID is basically sent through that to the database, and then it gets the particular review and return it to the product catalog, and then that display is updated. and the user can see all the reviews.
Yeah, can you also share? Sorry, here also return product reviews should be also dotted one.
Yeah, I
Okay.
understood. Like all the returns ones should be dotted.
Especially when there is a return one related to a request already, because
Okay.
you send a request, you expect a return.
Yeah.
So in order to differentiate for the user, he is going to read this. He knows that this return message is based on a request message that was sent before.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
However, the update display should be not dotted because it is something internal within the same entity in this case.
Okay.
This is not dotted.
All right.
The return product review, it should be dotted in this case.
Okay, so whenever the call, like the request is made, the returned result should always be like dotted line, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And then comes for the login itself. So the login customer first navigates to the main page and clicks login. Then the login page gets activated. And then it is displayed to the user, and the user enters the username and the password, and then the database is referred for the authentication, and then it has like usually two outcomes: either they are like user is authenticated or the authentication gets failed. And then if the user authentication is successful, the user is logged in as successful. Else, another query is made, does the user exist? And based on that answer, if the user does not exist, they are asked to register. And if the user exists, then it is confirmed that they have entered wrong credentials. Then they're like kind of warned about that, and then they entered the information. It's for the it's for the registration, and the register user is called.
I agree, but tell us why you use this alt. Why you use this? What is the aim from this?
Like what part specifically?
Yeah, this is when you said this is alt. Put it here in this box. Why you use this box?
Alt is used is I have used it where there's a condition, like based on the returned result.
Perfect. I agree.
Okay. And then once the information and everything is entered, register user is called. There are two cases: either they have entered all the correct information and nothing redundant, and then the result is returned and user is successfully registered. And the other case is when the registration fails, so user is also informed regarding that one. And then the other main sequence comes in buying the product, and I've also combined in it about the purchase and the payment. So first, customer looks at the product catalog page, and from there they can add the item to their cart. And once they add the item to their cart, and the sequence works here in the cart itself. It gets all the items from the database as added by the user, and all the prices as well are displayed like inside of the cart, and the cart is displayed to the user and the signed with the signed ID. So once user clicks on the purchase in the cart, the purchase is authorized using the card authorization controller, and then the result it comes to the user, and the information is displayed, and the database is also updated once the items are purchased. And for the manage itself, I did it like this. So in admin has their own manage interface. so they can manage various entities like customers or manufacturers.
But I think more detail can be done here, or
Yeah,
which
more.
means that add, edit, product, manufacturer. This one should be done as a messages.
Okay. I at that point I thought like it'll be like similar kind of, so I kind of grouped it into one, but
okay. Okay, you can do this, but normally even though it is similar, because we later when we go to the class diagram, we will pick the sequence diagram, and then we create different methods in the sequence diagram, in the class diagram based on the sequence diagram.
Yeah.
So we should know that the different methods, and if there is a return result, and how it is a return result, if it is, and the naming of them should be the same. So you can keep it like this. However, it's better to do it all this different one to mention them.
Okay.
Perfect. What now about the class diagram? This one. Go ahead. Now, can you zoom it somehow? Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. So
tell us first how you can know the name of the classes before we will go how these classes they have relations with each other and the different one. But first, tell me how you pick the name of the classes. How?
So it's based on basically the different entities. For instance,
first different entities in the domain model plus different entities in the sequence diagram, because in sequence diagram there are some entities you need to create a classes for them.
Yes. So
whenever there is an entity from the sequence diagram or the domain model that you believe that there is an attributes for this entity, a special attribute and method, then we have to create a class diagram for this in this case. Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, I thought about the different users. So we have admin, customers, the seller, and then even the guest customer who are not registered. So like admin, customer, seller can be like all are like users, and they are generalized under the user class. And the guest customer is and the other thing, the main common functionality between all four was the product catalog. They all can view the product catalog. So but the guest customer cannot be under the user because they still need to register. So each like one or many guest customer can view the product catalog, and similar for the user can view the product catalog as well. And for the account itself, like one user.
Perfect. So there is the inheritance between user and admin and customer and seller. When you said inheritance, mean that all other three different subclasses, based on this notation that you use it, will inherit all the attribute plus new attribute from this.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Did you get my point? Abjut.
Sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, I said yes, I agree with you.
Okay, go ahead.
So it'll have these attributes and operations, but plus it'll have it on its own.
Perfect.
So one user can only have like one account at this point, and then if you look at the product, so one product catalog has like many products, like one to many, and then the customer can first coming to the customer can give 0 or many ratings, and the one customer has like only one cart, and cart can have 0 to many products, and then customer can also place 0 to many orders. And then for the admin, I showed a notification in the logistic class. So one admin can send a 0 to many notification, and they can also manage 1 to many logistics. And then for the okay. Okay, I think I covered everything here.
Yeah, what about aggregation? You use aggregation in your design. Why you made this aggregation one? Do you have to use between category and product? Can you tell us more about aggregation and what different types of aggregation that you have already used?
Mm-hmm. So I've used aggregation here to consider like category as.
So
like
what is the difference between this aggregation between product and category and aggregation between product and cart in this case?
So the kind of the main difference is one is to show that the category cannot exist without the products, or
Which means it can be part of it, which means that this aggregation one that you use it. What
Mhm.
about the other kind of aggregation?
The other aggregation. So one is to indicate that so if the one entity is destroyed, the other one gets destroyed as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you know the name of this different aggregation? Can you tell us about more or?
So one is the composition.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. And what about the other?
I guess the other one, I forgot the name.
Okay. So aggregation in general, it is a general one, which means that it is not when we talked as it is a subclass associated to it, like in a way, like we saw this halo diamond, we can say it. So we have, and when we have the strong composition one, you use a filled diamond that you have done. So the first one was the general one, and the second one that we name it a strong one with a filled diamond that you use it. Again, I want to thank you so much, Prabjot. Yeah, can you please update the sequence diagram like the dotted one that you did it and you send it back to me to share it with the other? Can you do this?
Yes, sure.
Can you do it today?
Okay, I'll try to do it today. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really like it. You did it in a very well organized way, and it was perfect one with some enhancement that we have already discussed. And again, for all of you, the solutions that Prabjot, one of the correct solution doesn't mean that others have already not done it in a correct way. However, sometimes I have to say which one is the better compared to other, which one that has already include everything in it in a correct way, in a correct manner. But always when we talk about design and analysis, doesn't mean that we will have all the similar deliverable. We can have different deliverable, and then the implementation will be based on sometimes, okay, I will say, okay, I will make this class, however, I will make 2 subclasses. Sometimes, okay, no, I will make 4 subclasses for this, based on different understanding for the first requirement. So, however, the implementation will be based on the design analysis. You have already done it. So, again, it is not a black and white. We can have different version. The main issue should be the same. However, we can have different versions with slightly difference between different deliverables that we receive it normally when we make analysis and design for any project later as a software engineer project. So, Genevieve, Simranjit, and Prabjot, do you have any question to ask me today before we finish our live session today?
I have a question from Prabjot. I just wanted to know what tool did she use for this UML sequence diagram?
So I will. That was like I do not remember the exact name right now, but it was like giving the I would write the a code, not a code, like instructions in sort of a text way, and then it would just generate the diagram. So that's what I.
Yeah, she's asking about which one, if there is a special one.
Mm-hmm. I'll just let you know. Let me just find it.
Yeah, so, okay, if you aren't shared with us within your document, you can put the reference within your document, that updated one you will send it to me. put the reference as a tool. SummerNG, there are different tools. There is not only, there is also online tools. I didn't mention a special tool because I don't want to make a marketing for a special tool here in this course. However, there is a lot of tools, like what I remember from this. There is one I use it was Magic Draw. There one I use Astash. There was I knew it was Visual Paradigm, I think. There is also online tools. There is like online one I have already used before. Something they name it Lucid Chart.
Yeah.
So you can Google it. You will have a lot of them. I didn't make orientation for a special one, to not make a marketing for a special product. Plus, I will keep it for each one which one has to use it. However, since they are a UML tool, so we'll give you the output based on the UML standard that we are discussing in this course. You got it?
Yeah.
And Prabjot, as we said, so please can you add the reference to the tool, because so since you use this tool, so just you can add a reference within your final document that you send it back.
I will do it.
Perfect. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of the day. I like it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.